Hello guys, welcome to another lesson, and in this lesson we'll be looking at the best pairs, commodity or stock to trade during times of war events. Now I've been getting a lot of students, a lot of people, a lot of my followers telling me that please I should make a video on the current war event, how it affected currency pairs, and what we should focus on the next time we're having a war event. And if you notice, making this video was 18th of April 2026. If you notice, during this period we were having war events, which is the US and Israel war against Iran. And yes, during this period I'm making this video, the war was coming to an end. We're having ceasefire, but before that, starting from February ending all the way till April, a lot of traders have been complaining about the way the forex market is moving, about the way the crypto market is moving. Why? Because this war affected the market drastically. Now, why most traders complain during times of uncertainty, whether war, whether voting, whether political uncertainty and all, is because of there are some pairs, there are some currencies that you are not meant to be trading during times of war events. And in this video I'll explain that. I'll also give you reasons why you shouldn't trade this particular currency pairs, the mistake I made which almost made me lose most of my accounts during this period, and the best commodity, stock and currency to trade during times of war events or during times of geopolitical uncertainty. I'll explain how these pairs move during these times and what you should do when you encounter war events again. Because let's be honest, we're not praying for war, but this might happen again. We might have an uncertainty. It might not even be war. It might be political uncertainty. Do you understand? It might be something that will affect the market again, and this will make the forex market, crypto market very, very noisy, leading to a lot of losses in the market. So before I go into the pairs and commodities you should trade during war events, I just want to give you a little bit of recap on how my trading of this few past month has been in some of these currency pairs and how it almost cost me a lot. Now, beginning of the year, which was when did I start trading? I started trading February, right? The first trade I took was on, I think, Euro USD, if I'm not mistaken, and Euro USD actually gave me an SL hit. Now, the truth is, did I find opportunity on Euro USD? Yes, there are so many opportunities in which I would have caught on Euro USD, which would have given me profit, but I ended up missing it. Why? Because the market wasn't favorable enough. Do you understand? This was where price action started on Euro USD this year, starting from February when I started trading. Let me see if I can load it up. I know it started as an uptrend. Euro USD started as an uptrend beginning of this year, and then all of a sudden became a downtrend. Now it became a downtrend during the war event, right? And I would say this is when the war event started on Euro USD. I'd say somewhere like here. But at the same time, we could see that the market was ranging drastically during this period. I myself, I was thinking it's going to buy. Do you understand? Because in most war events, in most uncertainty, dollar is usually weak. Let's be honest. Some uncertainties, dollar is weak, especially if it's affecting the US economy. But all of a sudden, dollar was bullish. Euro USD sold massively. I actually got an SL hit, I think, when I wanted to long this particular position. You understand? And that was how I kept on losing on this pair on Euro USD. Now, this is the only best trade I said I predicted on Euro USD, the only best trade. And why this trade even worked out was because the war came to an end, or the war expectation is about to come to an end. Do you understand? And if you notice, Euro USD currently is bullish. Why? Because during the period when expectations of ceasefire started happening, Euro USD started becoming bullish, dollar started becoming bearish. So my strategy became favorable only when the war was predicted to come to an end. But when the war was still ongoing, you could see that so many opportunities, I actually missed them. I had a lot of SL hits on Euro USD, even on USD, CHF and all. And I can tell you for a fact, it's only when this war was predicted to come to an end, that was when this pair started working perfectly for me. And I know some of you also experienced this, right? You have a lot of, nice setups in the market, but you see them being violated and you think it's your strategy. Sometimes it's not your strategy, it's just the market environment. You are trading the wrong market environment. Now that we have gotten that into our system, that yes, some pairs are wrong to trade during economic uncertainty, during some certain period in the market. Now, why are these currencies bad to trade during this time? Now, let me give you a fact, right? During times of uncertainty, based on fundamentals, because the markets move 90% of the times, 70% of the times based on fundamentals, investors leave some of these currency pairs you're trading and focus on commodities and stock. Why? Because if you notice, you are trading two pairs at a time. This is Euro USD, right? You're trading Euro and USD. Now, during times of war events, right, these two economies are being affected. Now, for the fact that these two economies are being affected, it might be affected in different ways. You might see Euro might be affected positively, negatively. So all this, confusion, all this volatility happening on different pairs would make, the market very, very confusing. Will make your strategy looks like it's not working. Why? Because all of a sudden Euro is bullish, all of a sudden USD is bullish, all of a sudden USD is bearish, all of a sudden Euro is bullish. Like, you would see the two currencies will start clashing together. Why? Because the war is affecting both currencies, is affecting both economies. And not only that, less money is being applied, less money is being pushed into currency pairs. The only reason why Euro USD sold massively during this war event was because dollar was the main investment of the investors. Do you understand? So due to the fact that investors are focusing more on dollar, that was why Euro USD sold massively. But you will see case scenarios where Euro USD would range for a long period of time. We could see that here. Euro USD will range for a long period of time. This is when Euro is trying to come in between this drastic movement. Do you understand? And this makes it very, very difficult to trade. Another entry which would have worked perfectly was this particular zone here. This was a place in which I was looking for an entry for a sell. On a good market environment, I know markets would have taken out this liquidity, but I did not get triggered in. Do you understand? I did not get triggered in. You see, some things like this will be happening. Sometimes you see perfect entry, the market will kick you out. Sometimes you see, all these things are due to the fact that two currencies are paired together. Investors are leaving currency pairs and they're focusing more on commodities and stock. Do you understand? Money is not being applied to all these currencies. Currencies like the AUD USD, money is not being applied there. Currencies like the GBP AUD, money is not being applied there. So due to the fact that money is not being applied in all these things, you can see that the only time I found a very reasonable setup was when the ceasefire, this is AUD USD, was when the ceasefire has started coming to an end. And that was when dollar now became weak and AUD became strong. But you see, during the time of the war, why is AUD USD ranging drastically like this? You can see, what kind of move is this? Now, somebody somewhere would be trying to trade this. During the time of war, this was how AUD USD was moving. Very crazy. Somebody somewhere tried trading this and must have hit SL countless times. We can't keep making this mistake and keep saying, oh, the market is bad. We have to find solutions. Investors themselves, they know what they are doing when they leave these currency pairs and focus on other things, right? So we should do the same. We should know what we should focus on when we are having economic uncertainty. So what should we focus on? That is the big question, and we are going to get to that. But now, let me give you a reason why AUD USD was actually ranging. Because AUD itself was bullish during the time of war events. USD itself was bullish during the time of war events. Do you understand? So you can see that the two currencies are clashing. This is why it's not advisable to trade some pairs during times of uncertainty. Now, it's only when the ceasefire was coming to an end, that was when dollar now became weak, giving room for AUD to be bullish. Do you understand? I know this might be confusing you, but you are free to ask me your question. I will drop my WhatsApp contact at the end of the video. I will also drop a link to those who want to understand macroeconomics better at the end of that's at the description below. You can find all this, right? Ask me your questions, but for now, just try and listen carefully and be taking notes. Also, take note of the commodities I will list, which is good for trading during times of war events. I will still explain them. So now we've seen reasons why currency pairs don't work well, because two economies are involved in a currency pair. Two currencies are involved. So during war events, during uncertainty, it affects these currencies differently. The war event is affecting Australia, is still affecting the US economy. So this is making AUD USD range drastically, give you stupid move, and you not even know where to focus on. You not even know what to buy or what to sell. Do you understand? So now the big question is, what commodities or what currency should we focus on? Now let's go to my watch list. I actually made a different, arrangement for this commodities and this, currency, right? Now the thing I'll tell you is, during war events, these are the 5, I'll say, currencies, commodities and stock you should focus on during war event, and I will explain how they move. Number 1 is the DXY. Now if your broker allows you to trade DXY, it's best, rather than just finding rather than trading Euro USD or AUD USD or any USD currency pair, just focus on trading dollar itself. Because the honest truth is, most uncertainty affects dollar. Now it might either affect dollar negatively or positively, and in the current uncertainty we had, let's go to dollar and see how dollar moves. I will explain dollar, I will explain the rest for you. All right, the first one is dollar. You can see that dollar was affected positively by the war. Dollar started rising from the moment the war was expected. Dollar started rising, and this was where the rise started from. Now if your broker allows you to trade dollar, this would have been a very, very good entry after this break of this high. I mean, the 4 hours time frame, you can, if you use lower time frame for your entry, you can use lower time frame confirmation. You can enter here, or you can even enter at this zone, right, after market has mitigated this OB over here. And when you know the direction of the currency, which is dollar, based on the war event, you can hold it long term. Another thing I want to tell you is, if you're a day trader, you can take profit and still keep buying, right? If you're a swing trader, it's best to just keep holding it long term until the war comes to an end. This way, when other traders are complaining of, oh, the market is really bad, the market is being affected by the war, you are just holding dollar. Why? Because you know that dollar is being affected positively by the war. Do you understand? You will know that dollar is being affected positively by the war, and you would know that, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be buying dollar. There were a lot of opportunities to buy dollar. You could see, here's another opportunity to buy dollar. That's if your broker allows you, right? And what I want you to do is check your MT5, check your broker, type in DXY or dollar index. If you see it, means that your broker allows you to trade, dollar. Do you understand? If your broker allows you to trade it, you can keep buying. If you know the war is going to affect dollar positively, you can keep buying. Now, there are some wars that affect dollar negatively. How would you know when a war will affect dollar positively or negatively? This is simple. It's just simply by understanding macroeconomics. Or if you don't understand macroeconomics, just stay tuned to my fundamental updates, because I would definitely tell you if the war would affect dollar positively or negatively. But if you want this knowledge to yourself so that you can apply it to both stock, both crypto, both any currency of your choice, it's best to get the knowledge. Do you understand? So you can see that dollar was affected positively, and if you bought dollar in your MT5, right, you would have made up to, let me just calculate this as 200 pips plus. Do you understand? 200 pips plus, because this was where the war started coming to an end, this particular zone here. And when dollar reached this particular key level, we started hearing talks about ceasefire. Do you understand? When dollar reached this particular key level, that was when we now started hearing talks of ceasefire. But by then, investors has already started taking profits from dollar, and now dollar is bearish. Why? Because the war is coming to an end. Do you understand? So this is why dollar is best fit for being traded during times of economic uncertainty. You see that the market was not ranging. The market just went straight up. Why? Because dollar is being affected positively. Investors were buying dollar. And if you're following the fundamental updates, you understand why dollar was being affected positively. This is simply because of the oil price was increasing, because this war was happening in the Middle East, right? And Middle East, they are involved in oil importation. So when they are being attacked, or when the war is in that particular zone, oil supply disruption happens. This increases the price of oil, which increases inflation in dollar, which makes dollar bullish. Why? Because the Fed are now seeing that, oh, they might not actually cut interest rate this year, they might actually hike interest rate. So this interest rate decision make dollar bullish. Investors started focusing more on dollar, and dollar was rising all the way to the top. Do you understand? So write this down. The first currency you should focus on during times of economic uncertainty is dollar. But before you do anything, before you buy or sell dollar, understand how the war is affecting dollar. It could affect dollar positively or negatively. And trust me, once you know how the war is being affecting dollar, you can just simply buy and hold, or sell and hold, because it's not going to affect it different ways, just one way. If the war is affecting dollar negatively, dollar will keep selling till that war is over. If the war is affecting dollar positively, dollar will keep buying till the war is over. From dollar was at 96.628, that was when the war started, and this was February. From all the way from February to, remember, this is the 4 hours time frame, so trust me, this is a lot. All the way from February to April, dollar kept on buying. Do you know how much this is? You're just simply milking the bullish trend. Do you understand? So let's go over to the next. In case you have any question on dollar, in case you feel like, oh, when will dollar actually be positive, when will dollar actually negative, when an economic uncertainty kicks in, make sure to stay ahead in my fundamental update, and also you can ask me in my WhatsApp DM. Do you understand? So let's go over to the next. Dollar is a good currency to trade during times of economic uncertainty. The next one is gold. Now, I told you all that beginning of this year, I actually had a drawdown, but I've made it all back thanks to gold. Do you understand? Thanks to gold. Now, some of you only have one mentality in your head saying, oh, gold buy during times of uncertainty. No, don't put that in your head. In fact, erase that. If that's what you think happens to gold, erase that. Gold do not buy during times of uncertainty. It depends on how the war is affecting dollar itself and oil, and we'll get to that. Now, in this particular uncertainty which we had from February, right, 2026, gold was bearish. Why was gold bearish? If you're following my fundamental update, it will be very clear that gold was bearish due to the fact that oil price was increasing. Investors, first of all, bought gold when the war started. You can see they bought gold when the war started. I myself, I was in this bullish trend when the war started. But when oil price got affected, gold dropped drastically. You can see the massive drop. And after this massive drop, this was a sign that, oh, gold will actually be affected, negatively by the war. This would have been the best position to start looking for a sell entry. Do you understand? I even highlighted it, but I missed out on this, right? I did not actually sell because I was still trying to understand what was happening before the whole, trend left me. Now, this is the beautiful fact about gold. Once you catch it early, trust me, you are going to make a lot of money from it. Do you understand? Oil price was increasing, inflation was rising. Investors left gold because gold was no longer a focus. They started focusing more on dollar, and they started selling gold. Now, if you notice, gold is paired to dollar. Dollar is the quoted currency for gold. Now, if dollar is bullish during times of uncertainty, gold will likely be bearish. Sometimes dollar can be bullish and gold too will be bullish. Don't get that part all confused, but understand the fundamentals. Fundamentals are saying that inflation is rising on dollar, and they see chances of hiking interest rates. Now, gold doesn't have an interest rate, so investors ran to dollar to gain more interest from dollar, and gold started selling drastically. Now imagine, let's just have a wide imagination. Imagine you sold gold early. Let's not say from this zone, because I'm trying to be realistic here. Imagine you sold gold from this level, from this particular level, all the way down here. Do you know how much this is? Like, do you know how much I've gained just from this my buy position on gold? This is more than 100 pips. Now imagine how much this is if you cut it on time. If you know that, oh, gold is going to sell this war, I'm just going to sell gold, and you sold it on time. This sale happened, I think, ending February. That was when this sale happened. Now if you cut this sale, trust me, you have nothing else to worry about. Whatever others are doing in the market, you have nothing to worry about. You have already made your cool, clean cash from the market. Do you understand? Now, it's not just by entering the market and pressing a sell button or a buy button. No, you have to be good at technical analysis. Do you understand? You have to be very good at technical analysis. If you're not good at technical analysis and you're willing to learn, remember, I have an academy. You understand? And you can actually learn from the best. Just text me up. Let me know if you're interested, and I'll put you through, give you mentorship program, help you also to attend a Profem account. And not only that, even after you're a professional, I will still be guiding you through. My students can attest to this. You understand? So that is one thing you have to put in mind. It's not just by pressing the sell button. Also understand technical analysis, because fundamentals can tell you gold will sell, but then you can sell at the run zone and get swiped out, only for you to be left out, and gold will sell massively, giving you losses. Do you understand? So that is just simply it. Some fundamentals, during times of economic uncertainty, gold usually rises. Trust me. During times of economic uncertainty, gold usually rises. Now, why was gold bullish at this particular zone? Let me explain to you why gold was bullish during this particular zone. Was because investors were seeing chances of dollar getting a rate cut. Now, this was, an uncertainty in the US economy, and that was what made gold rise all the way to the top here. Just the fact that we expected a rate cut in dollar. But when the war started, you could see, when the war started, oil price increased, inflation rose, right? And then the dollar gained interest. They were seeing reasons to hold interest rate cuts and hike interest rates in dollar. This made gold drop drastically. Now, why is gold bullish? Why? Because the war is coming to an end. Expectation of a ceasefire is happening, and I'm expecting to hold gold. Possibly, I'm expecting to hold gold all the way to the top here. But I'll be taking profits in between, and I'll be trading my SL. If I get taken out by my trade SL, so be it. Currently, I'm on break even, and if you want to ride this gold bullish momentum with me, you can take this as a souvenir for attending this class. This is an opportunity for you to understand that gold is going to be bullish, so you can ride it all through, because the ceasefire is going to make gold bullish. And investors might now focus more on seeing if rates will be cut on dollar. And if we expect rates to be cut on dollar, gold will actually rise drastically. So that is my expectation for gold, and that is why I'm milking it now. I made the mistake of trying to trade currency pairs during times of war. I've learned from that mistake, and now that we're expecting a ceasefire, the war is still going on. Trust me, the war hasn't ended. This is just an expectation of a ceasefire. So if this expectation continues, gold should be bullish, and when the war finally comes to an end, I would now focus more on Japanese yen currencies, USD currencies like the Euro USD, USD CHF, and the rest. Do you understand? So that is just simply it. Now let's go over to the next, which is the most important. You understand? Most important is oil. Now I want you to understand that most wars, oil will definitely rise. In most wars, especially if the war affects, oil supply, right? And how would you know the war is affecting oil supply? Simply by understanding fundamentals. Simply by understanding fundamentals. So if you understand fundamentals, you know that, the oil supply is going to be affected, and this will increase, inflation rates in US. This will make people want to buy the oil more, and this was why the oil had a drastic push all the way to the top. Now, disadvantage of this is most times when war starts, you might not find an entry in oil, because this is 4 hours time frame. Though if you want to find a good entry, you can go back to the lower time frame. Maybe at this particular zone here, you would have find a good entry to keep buying oil. But trust me, a lot of money can be made if you understand that oil is going to be bullish during times of war. So during times of war, this is not the time to be doing analysis, knowing if a currency will buy, if a currency pair will buy or sell. Just understand where investors are putting their money, what the war is going to affect. If the war is going to affect dollar, focus on dollar. If the war is going to affect gold, focus on gold. If the war is going to affect oil, focus on oil. This would have been based on higher time frame though. This would have been a very, very good entry for me. I did not trade this. But this would have been a very, very good entry for me, at least to catch a little bit of this. And obviously, I will take my profit at this particular zone here, because this was the highest level in which the market rose before we saw a drop. Obviously, it's going to get there and it's going to find it difficult to break. So now, why is oil dropping? Well, because of the war is coming to an end, expectation of a ceasefire. Do you understand? So inflation has started dropping. Investors are expecting oil price to drop, and this will make oil to be bearish. Do you understand? So this is why all these things are very clear. Once you understand where it's heading to, just find an entry, because the war actually, it started affecting oil from here. It started affecting oil from here. I would say from here, right? Yes, find an entry in a lower time frame, buy oil and close and just leave. And trust me, you'll make a lot of money. It's more like an investment. Or if you're a day trader, you can just be, taking profits, coming back, taking profits, coming back. You can even find an entry here. If you see a good retracement, you find a good entry to keep buying oil. Do you understand? That is simply how you make money during times of uncertainty. It's not all the time that you're focusing on currency pairs. Do you get? So that's just simply it. I myself, I'll be applying this in every economic uncertainty. I will let my students know. We have a separate group for fundamental updates. As a student of mine, if you're watching, they just know that every uncertainty, every economic uncertainty, right, we're going to be focusing more on these particular commodities, this particular currencies. I'll be giving you all entries for it. I'll be giving you all the best zone in which to buy or the best zone to sell. You understand? You're going to be getting the first update as my student. That's a privilege if you are a student of mine. You understand? So oil, we already understand what happened. If you're following my fundamental updates, you should understand why oil was rising, and you should understand why oil is dropping. So the next one is stock, right? S&P 500. Now, most brokers will allow you to trade this. All you just need to do is go to your broker and type S&P 500 index. You likely see it. And now, what happens to stock during times of uncertainty? Now, during times of uncertainty, stocks usually drop. Do you understand? Stock usually sell during times of uncertainty. And this was during the period. I'll use this as a line chart, because most times you might see gaps in your trading view. We use the line chart, but trust me, once you sell this in your MT5, you might likely see results. There's no huge gap in the market. You understand? So during times of uncertainty, stocks usually drop. All stocks drop, right? And S&P 500 is a US stock. Now, why does this stock drop? This is simple. Dollar cannot be rising and stock be rising at the same time, because investors usually run from dollar to stock. If dollar is being affected, investors might run to stock. Do you understand? And most times, yes, so you can see case scenarios where stock will rising and dollar will be rising, especially if rate hike is expected and inflation rate is increasing. You understand? But sometimes once stock is falling, dollar is rising. Once dollar is rising, stock is falling. Do you understand? So during times of uncertainty, the dollar was being affected positively. The stock started dropping. Do you understand? Because due to the fact that inflation rate was being affected in the dollar, the stock started dropping, and it was from this level the stock market on S&P 500 started dropping. And trust me, this is a huge chunk of money. If you found an entry, this is actually a key level. If you found an entry to sell here, right? Let's say it wasn't a good catch, but let's say you caught something from here. You understand? Put your SL here. You would have milked all the way down to this zone. And why is the stock rising? Simply because this war is coming to an end. Expectation of a ceasefire. Do you understand? It's very simple. Expectation of a ceasefire is making the stock go drastically up. And if you enter your MT5 and you see so much gap, please do not trade it in that broker. There's some broker that you might not really see gaps. You understand? There's some brokers you might not really see gaps like this. I myself, I need to even find a better broker for my stock so that I wouldn't be seeing gaps in my trading view. But when I mean broker, I mean your MT5, right? Check if your stock market, if your S&P 500 is showing you gaps. If it's showing you so much gaps like this, it's best to avoid it. Do not trade it. You can focus on gold. You can focus on, the DXY, dollar index. Do you understand? But the stock markets usually drop during times of uncertainty. Why? Because investors leave stock. They don't invest in stock. They run to commodities. Do you understand the point? So now that the war is coming to an end, you can see stock has just been rising drastically. And one thing about stocks is it don't really works with technical analysis. Once you know where it's going to head to, just find a particular position to buy or sell. And most times, once you start buying, you wouldn't get much retracement. Except if you trade in lower time frame. Then you can find entries at this particular zone here. You can see market was actually giving a little bit of minor retracements here. You can find a good entries at this zone. Once the stock start rising, this is what it will be right, and it will keep rising, and you keep making money from it. Do you understand? Why do you think investors or the big banks buy stocks? Why? Because they know that once stocks start rising, once it start falling, it's based on fundamentals. And once that fundamental should end, they easily know when to close positions. So once the ceasefire started, coming on, the air, investors took profit on stock from selling the stock, and the stock started heading all the way to the top. They started buying it. Do you understand? So that is just simply it for S&P 500. This is one of the best stock to actually focus on. Look for it in your broker. If your broker allows you to trade it, then go with it. Another one is the Japan 225. Now this is the Japanese stock, right? What happens during this stock, right? This stock actually it falls during times of uncertainty. All stock falls during times of uncertainty, right? Have this in mind. So during the time of uncertainty, you see something like this. This was when the stock market started falling, and you would see good entries at this particular level, especially if you are a if you are a day trader or a scalper. You will see good entries at these particular levels, right? So trust me, this is one of the best stock to trade during times of uncertainty. Just find a particular level. You know that, is war period, let me find a place to sell. That's just how simple it works. Unlike some currency pairs, you have to be careful. When will I buy? When will I sell? You'll be confused. No, these ones are just simple. We're having war. Okay, how will the war affect the stock market? The stock market is going to sell. Where will I sell? Find your sell. Take your sell. You can keep selling if you want. When the war is coming to an end, you know when to start buying. A student of mine currently even bought this particular stock, right? But it's due to the fact that the war was coming to an end. Do you understand? And Japan 225 gave him good profit. So I want you to understand that this stock is there in your broker. You can search it up. You can search Nike 225, or you can search up JP 225. You understand? You might see something like this. If your broker accepts it, you can trade it as well. And let's say you are part of the people that caught it early when the war started. Let's say from here, you would have made good amount of profit all the way down here. Yes, the market is ranging, but still, this is good amount of profit. Trust me, this is a lot based on the risk percentage in this particular stock. And then when the war started coming to an end, when the ceasefire started, coming into the air, you can just find an entry for a bullish momentum. So that is just simply how it works. Remember, your risk management matters. Remember, this move based on fundamentals. All these things I'm telling you are just things that move based on fundamentals. They don't get affected. They don't range. You don't see them going up tomorrow. They are going down. No. Once the war is affecting it negatively, it's selling. Once the war is affecting gold negatively, is selling. Once the war is affecting dollar positively, is buying. Nothing to worry about. Don't worry if it's going to sell or if it's going to buy. No, it's buying. As long as the war said, this is what dollar is going to do, it's going to keep doing it till the war comes to an end. All you just need to know is, when will the war come to an end? So imagine you are part of the people that bought dollar, right? Or the question you just be asking yourself is, when will the war come to an end? and once the war is about to come to an end, you take profit. Now, why other people are complaining, oh, the market environment is very bad, the market environment is not actually conducive, I've been losing money this period, you just tell them, oh, I've not been trading, I've been holding some trades. Or even if you don't want to hold, you just tell them, oh, I've just been focusing on commodities, I've been buying, I've been selling gold ever since in lower time frame. Once I sell, I take profit, sell, I take profit. Because trust me, if you look at gold, the way gold sold, if you just kept on selling in lower time frame, you would have just kept on making profit. Nothing would have stopped you from making good profit from gold. Do you understand? So that's just what I want you to understand, that during times of uncertainty, these are what you should focus on. Focus on dollar, focus on gold, focus on the dollar stock, which is S&P 500, focus on Japanese stock, which is the Japan 225, and focus on oil. If you sold gold during time of uncertainty, let's say you were even selling and taking profit, trust me, you would have still been making good amount of profit, because in lower time frame you will definitely see entry. This 4 hours time frame, in lower time frame you see good entries. All these little retracements are good entries to keep selling gold, and you will have made good amount of profit. Forget all those other currencies, right? Do not focus on them, because you might end up losing your money trying to trade them. Focus on all these ones. So let's look at them again. Take notes. I hope you took notes of everything I said. Dollar, the gold, the US oil, the S&P 500, and the Japan 225. These are the 5 currency and commodity, 5 currency, commodity, and stock I will be trading during times of uncertainty. And anytime we're having uncertainty, I would leave all this noise, all these noise makers, all this UB, AUD, CAD, JPY, AUD, JPY. Trust me, if you know the amount of time I was confused on the direction on AUD, JPY. Let me just give you an example. You see AUD, JPY, one time is bullish, the next time is bearish. We don't even understand what it's doing. That is the effect of 2 currency being affected by the war. You can see this is what AUD, JPY look like. This is not even a trade I took. I just drew this because I wanted to show myself that yes, when the war started coming to an end, AUD just started rising. But you can see this is what the price action of AUD, JPY has looked like. This is 4 hours time frame, don't forget. One moment is bullish, the next moment is bearish. I'm confused. Like, nigga, where are you heading to? Where are you heading to? Yes, in the higher time frame, it looks like an uptrend, but trust me, you can see all the noise, all the spikes that have been happening. If you're someone now that wants to trade this on a lower time frame, you will definitely be getting this spike would have taken you out. Definitely, this spike would have taken you out. A lot of confusion happens during times of war events. Why? Because we are trading 2 currencies that is being affected either positively or negatively at the same time during this war event. Do you understand? So your strategy is not the problem. You're just focusing on the wrong currency pairs. You're focusing on the wrong trades. Focus more on commodities, stock. You understand? Even if you don't want to trade gold, you can trade silver. There are so many commodities there. A lot of my students, they already traded, they know some of these commodities. You can trade silver, you can trade any of these commodities. Just know that whenever gold is selling, most of this commodity will follow gold's direction. Do you understand? They follow gold direction. Most of this stock follow one direction too as well. Do you get my point? So I want you to understand that during times of war, during times of economic uncertainty, not only war, maybe political uncertainty and the rest, all this noise, you can avoid them by focusing on what investors are focusing on as well. Do you understand? So that is just simply it for this. In case you have any question, make sure to ask me. In case I have anything left out, I would still update you all on my WhatsApp status or in my Telegram community. For now, make sure to drop a comment in the comment section to support this video. Let me know how you found this. If this was helpful to you, type it in the comment section. Just tell me how good what you learned from this, or how grateful you are for this video, and I would see you in the next one. Take care, and it's going to be a profitable month ahead.